That was the last time I would say I was like extremely triggered to the point where like I was crying because I'm triggered because this guy said this to me. And I promise you that whatever situation you're going through, there is something that you are going to learn from it. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Neeti if you don't already know me. I am like your older sister here for confidence, advice, tips. If you don't already follow my channel, you can follow my channel. Today we are just gonna get ready and talk about feeling triggered. And I feel like if you are already here watching this video, you're probably feeling very triggered by something right now. I feel like if you are triggered by somebody, a lot of times our go-to is that we kind of want to think like, well, I'm triggered because like somebody else did this to me. I'm triggered because this guy said this to me. I'm triggered right now because like a guy's not answering his phone. I'm triggered right now because my man's at the club. I'm triggered right now because he just said something super rude to me. Our go-to in life is like when we're triggered is to put it on the other person. A lot of times we can. Like there are situations where like you could be triggered because someone's just being rude to you. You could be triggered because somebody's just like not being nice or said something super disrespectful or treated you in a way that you don't deserve or cheated at her. And so it's not that that's wrong, you know. I think that the first step when you're triggered that's really important is to understand that yeah, somebody else's actions could be triggering us, but at the end of the day, every trigger that you feel is leading you to deal with something internally. There's something internally that you have to work on if you are feeling triggered by anything. And of course, like there are exceptions, like, you know, if somebody was to get cheated on, like you can't be like, oh well, don't feel triggered, you know. Like if you were totally secure by yourself and like perfect internally, like you wouldn't be triggered right now. Of course, like there is like maybe like, you know, some percentage that is like external, but if you're feeling triggered, it's often a reflection of us. And I feel like I've had to learn that like so many times. Like I've had to realize that like I can't just like blame the other person, and at the end of the day, like that's not even gonna like help me grow. I have to understand that being triggered is something going on with it. So I'll tell you a little story time. Like the other week I got super fucking triggered because of a guy. I had like been out with him maybe like 5-6 times, and he basically did something where like kind of annoyed me. Like we were out at an event, and I feel like the way he was talking to other girls when we happened to be at the same event was like he was being super touchy. So obviously I was like triggered by that, but I didn't say anything. And then he kind of like came back to me and was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, like, you know, I was drinking, like I didn't mean, like I wasn't trying to like touch up on them, like whatever, let me make it up to you, like let's go out. And even then I was like, you know, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, like should I be like going out with a guy who like showed me actions that are like not it, but I still did. And I said to him, okay, fine, after, you know, he was like really begging me. And so then he's like, okay, like let's go out on Thursday. Thursday comes around, and one of my pet peeves is like people who don't follow up with plans or like give me like times and stuff. Thursday comes and I have to be like, hello, like what time are we meeting and stuff. And then he's like, basically he kept pushing the plan and ended up canceling on me like all night, like kept me hanging for a haircut. I think I've already told the story in one of my other videos, but that was the last time I would say I was like extremely triggered to the point where like I was crying, because obviously you might be like, okay, someone canceled a plan on you, like yeah, it's a little annoying, it's upsetting, but like why were you crying? And like that's the thing that you can't explain. Like when you're triggered, like bro, how do you even explain like why am I crying over this? You might even be like, this is the smallest of things, I shouldn't be crying. But like when you're triggered, you're triggered. Like I was fucking triggered by that, because what it triggered in me, which obviously it took reflecting, was that it triggered me feeling like I'm not important and I'm not good enough, to the point where like this person's choosing a haircut over me, or this person isn't able to follow up with plans with me, or like, you know, like I'm not a priority to them and I'm not important. And that was like why I was feeling triggered. And so if you're feeling triggered right now, I think that the first step for you is going to be to think about like, okay, why am I triggered and what is my internal thought? So for example, when I'm sitting there crying because he canceled the plan and I'm pissed and I'm just like crying about it, it's like, am I really crying over like someone changing a plan? Like if my friend changed a plan on me right now, would I be crying? No. Would I be a little annoyed? Okay, yeah, maybe, right? But like is my reaction, like my internal nervous system, anxiety, I'm feeling the crying, the shaking, it's warranted because there's a deeper meaning. So ask yourself, like, what about this person's actions or like about this situation, what kind of internal dialogue do I have? So my internal dialogue was like, I had to really think about it. You might have to sit there, you might have to journal for like a couple hours and like really think, what does this make me feel? Like what am I feeling right now? This person doing this to me is making me feel like I'm not a priority and I'm not important. And there's only like usually a couple things that like you keep telling yourself, and they're usually like things that you've developed in terms of your self-concept, like things that maybe you believe about yourself from childhood, or like you've been made to believe about yourself. And mine is like, oh, I'm not important. Like my own internal dialogue would be like, I'm not important, I'm not good enough, I'm not a priority. That would be like the same reoccurring thing. And then like I'm almost like very easily triggered by people not making me a priority or making me feel unimportant, which would be like the opposite. So I'm super hyper alert. So you might be super hyper alert to like, this person's making me feel not pretty, this person's making making me feel like I have body image issues. This person's making me feel like I'm less than. This person's making me feel like, you know, whatever. Clearly something that they're doing in their action. It's not the action that's necessarily always the most upsetting part. A lot of times, like, it's an internal thing that you have always felt deep down, and that, like, a negative thought about yourself that they're bringing out in you. And so that's almost, and so like what I want to emphasize, actually, I'm just gonna do my eyeliner off camera 1 second. I think that the most important thing to remember is that when you are triggered by something, it is a physical, visceral reaction. Like, your nervous system is acting up. Like, when you are literally triggered, like, your body is in fight or flight mode. Like, it is like not relaxed, and you are literally feel like the world is ending. And that's what happens when you're triggered. Like, it's anxiety central. And so I think that the most important thing is, like, if you're feeling triggered right now, we first want to get a grasp of the nervous system and physically calm yourself down, because there is no rash decision that is going to be made when you're in fight or flight mode and you're literally having panic attacks, sweating, crying. And so honestly, like, that, as much as somebody wants to act, and like usually what you're going to want to do is your brain is going to want to fix the situation or do something about it right away. Don't do that, because nobody is thinking rash. Think about it, like in caveman days, if you were like being fucking chased and gonna be killed, your energy is on that. You're not gonna be able to make like logical, rash, intelligent decisions. So the number one step that I want you to do right now is literally take a deep breath in. Like, literally take a deep breath in. If you need to go put your phone away right now, that's okay. If this video is distracting you, that's good. If you need to stop checking your messages, or you need to walk out of a situation, do it. Walk into another room, go for a walk, get a sip of water, focus on the water. I know your mind's gonna be spinning all over thinking about the situation, and it's not gonna be like able to just leave, but do whatever you need to fucking do. If you need to like force yourself that I'm gonna watch a music video for 10 minutes, or I'm gonna watch a movie for 10 minutes, and that's just what my mind has to go to, do it. Because you want to calm your heart rate down. You want to just calm your nervous system down. That's going to be the most important step, because you don't want to act being rash. I know for me, like, sometimes like literally just drinking a cup of tea makes me so much calmer. And like when I'm in that anxiety situation, sometimes it's just like putting my phone away and like literally just like going out and being like, just breathe, just breathe, just breathe. That's gonna be the first step. Something that I actually think has really helped me, especially when it comes to being triggered by boys, I always wanted to tell myself, like, oh my god, if this guy did something to me, like, I'm not crying over this. Like, I used to be like, no, I'm not crying over this. I'm not letting this boy cry over me. Like, this is a horrible, like, well, he doesn't deserve it. Like, why the fuck am I gonna cry over this? Honestly, I think that that is like the complete wrong mindset. And I think that now, like, a healthy way, I've kind of learned a healthy way to kind of like process being triggered by somebody doing something to you, or you just feeling really upset, is honestly, like, if you're triggered, and like, even if you don't think that it's warranted to cry, like, it wasn't not warranted for me to probably start bawling my eyes out because a guy canceled on me, just cry it out though. Who cares if it's right or wrong? Who cares if you think, oh my god, this guy doesn't deserve my tears? You know what? Whatever. You're crying for your fucking self. You're not crying technically for him, and don't think of it that way. If you need to cry, genuinely, bro, do an ugly freaking ass cry. Like, I don't even care. Get all your tears out. I want you to cry so hard that you don't have any tears yet. Like, be fucking panting. It doesn't matter if you feel like this person doesn't deserve it, or you shouldn't be crying over it, or you're like, no, I'm not gonna let him do this. It's not about our ego. Honestly, I'm telling you, getting the cry out is going to make you feel so much better. And like, I actually have a theory that I used to kind of like hold my cry in, because I'd be like, no, I'm not letting this guy, like, you know, have that of me, and like, just be okay. You feel so much better when that cry is out, and holding it in, I think, actually just makes it worse for you. Like, it physically feels like you're holding in anxiety. And so get your cry out. And to me, like, that is the first step in processing. It's like, get the cry out, get the like rash, annoying anger, get the emotions out. Like, just get them out. But you're like, okay, I felt them. Just be okay with feeling them. It's really important. Honestly, something I honestly learned in therapy is like, it's really important to actually just like feel the emotion and not just like run from it because you don't want to feel sad, or you don't want to cry, or you don't want to feel the anger or the hurt. Like, you have to feel the emotion in order to move on, because if you're just trying to like move on mentally and like logically, but then like you never really like fully felt the emotion or like let it out, it's just gonna fester and it's just gonna keep coming up. Like, you're not gonna be able to heal properly, so let it out. So honestly, I feel like after you cry and you've kind of dealt with it and you've taken your moment, that's when you can actually deal with like the logical side of being triggered. Like, whatever the situation is, whether it's like, do I cut this person off, or like, how do I respond to this, or like, maybe somebody, you know, said something really rude to you, maybe somebody, you know, triggered something in you related to like your worth, maybe somebody made you feel not important, maybe you literally saw like your ex out with a girl, like, whatever the hell it is, I don't even know. It could be it honestly could be any situation in life. It doesn't even have to be boy related. Whatever it is, now you have the capabilities to think logically. And sometimes like it could even be like a day or two later. Like, it might might be like you need to feel these emotions, not just for like an hour of crying, but maybe it's like a whole 24 hours or it's like 48 hours even, like, you know, depending on like how much emotion is there. Your logical side of the brain and your gut is going to know like what the right course of action is, and you can deal with that now. I have a friend and she would always tell me that like if you were triggered by a guy, she gave me such a good piece of advice. She always said like if you were triggered by a guy, like if somebody did something to you, sometimes I would be like, oh my god, like, you know, fuck this guy, like I just want to like block him, like I'm literally gonna unfollow him, like, you know, something rash, like maybe it's like, oh, you know what, I'm literally gonna like never speak again, or I'm gonna go tell like his current girlfriend what he did. Like I don't even know, it could be like whatever, and like you're just like angry, or maybe you're out of spite, or just like I'm done and I want to like do the piece of action now to make myself feel better or like feel on top or whatever. I think that my friend would always tell me like wait 24 hours. She'd be like, do that action if you really want to do that action in 24 hours. If you really want to unfollow that person, if you really want to say something to them, if that thought and that feeling is still there in 24 hours, then act on it. But for the first 24 hours, don't do anything, because you're acting on emotion and you're not acting on like logic and thought and reason. And like I know that you're a smart girl somewhere down there, you are a really smart girl, and so when you are not, you know, super emotional, and so when you are not acting out of emotion, I'm sure like you probably know what the right decision is to do and what the best course of action is. But I know in terms of being triggered, the first step, what I want to reiterate, is that you need to take a deep breath. I know that you're having anxiety. I know that the world feels like it's ending. I know that you feel like this is it for you, your life is turned upside down, and you're so angry or you're so hurt, you know, whatever the feelings are. You need a minute for yourself. If you're not doing it for them, like do it for yourself. Take a minute, go get a breather, go drink a cup of tea. If you need 5 minutes to like focus on something else, like force yourself to watch a video, watch every second of it. Maybe this is the video that you're watching. Do something that is calming you down. And then I want you to disconnect from whatever it is. Don't keep texting them. Don't keep doing this. Sit and just be like feeling the emotions. Cry the freaking ugly cry. Throw a fucking plate if you want to throw a plate. I don't care. Do whatever you want to do, but feel the emotions. And the key part is going to be like, don't just feel the emotions for like a little bit and then be like, okay, see, I felt the emotions, now I can go deal with it. You'll know in your heart if you truly are calmed down or if you're still feeling extremely angry or extremely upset. I'm not saying that all the anger, all the hurt is just going to go away in like 24 hours, but like, don't just act and be like, okay, I calm myself down, now I'm just going to go do the thing that I wanted to do in the first place, which is like tell them off. Don't do that. Just sit and actually be like, okay, you know what, now I'm thinking logically. If you need to make a pro and cons list, if you need to journal about it, like do whatever you need to do, but give yourself the time after you felt the emotions fully to then process it, write it, think about it. Maybe you have to talk to your therapist, maybe you need to talk to a friend, and think about what the right course of action is. At the end of the day, like, you will be okay. Whatever feels like the end of the world right now, in 1 year from now, will not be the end of the world. And I think that, like, when you're in the moment, when people say that shit to me, I would be like, girl, like, you know, that's not helping me, because I don't feel like that right now. Right now, it does feel like the end of the world, and I can't just skip time. But I do think that it is important to keep reminding yourself that this will not be, like, as big of a deal 1 year from now, and you will heal. Whatever it is, you will come back from it. I promise you. You're strong, and you got this. Nobody deserves to have that much power over you, but at the end of the day, everything we do, like, it is a learning lesson. Being triggered is just telling us, like, what's going on internally with us. What insecurity do I have? What do I need to, like, validate myself? What do I need to work on that I haven't worked on? For me, it was like, I realized, like, girl, you need to work on making yourself feel important, your own worth, and not needing a guy to make you feel important or make you a priority. Because then when they don't make you feel like a priority, this is how you are. Like, you know, you're a mess. And so what I've had to do is learn that, you know what, that's what me being triggered, everything happens for a reason. Me being triggered by that guy, there was something that I had to learn from it. And I promise you that whatever situation you're going through, there is something that you are going to learn from it. Anyways, so please tell me if this has helped you kind of calm down being triggered, especially if it's like from a guy, from a relationship thing. I mean, this can honestly apply to everything. Please comment if you want more videos. Please comment what was helpful, if this worked for you. Remember that you're strong, you're gonna get through it. Once again, you can like, comment, subscribe. I post a lot of confidence, self-help, dating tips. You can also follow my TikTok for story times, my Instagram for more lifestyle content. But yeah, I'm here for the girlies, and I love you guys. See you in the next video.